The topic is superior vena cava and aorta. Starting with superior vena cava, in this picture this highlighted structure is superior vena cava and will be covering the same under these headings: introduction and definition, course and relations, tributaries of superior vena cava, and the related clinical aspect. Now starting with the introduction first, it is a large venous channel approximately 7 cm long, and you can see in this picture this is superior vena cava, large venous channel. It collects blood from head and neck, upper limbs and thorax and brings it to the heart. That means it collects from upper half of the body and drains into the right atrium, and you can see the opening of superior vena cava in the upper part of the right atrium. Now how superior vena cava is formed? It is formed by the union of right and left brachiocephalic or innominate veins. At which level? It is formed behind the lower border of first right costal cartilage close to sternum, and it is valveless. Now how brachiocephalic vein is formed? It is formed by the union of internal jugular vein and subclavian vein, and you can see in this picture on the right side this is right internal jugular vein and this is right subclavian vein, forming right innominate or right brachiocephalic vein. And on the left side same, this is left brachiocephalic formed by the union of left internal jugular and left subclavian vein. And both the brachiocephalic veins, they are ultimately together, they form superior vena cava, which will drain the deoxygenated blood to the heart. Next is the course of superior vena cava. First I will explain you this diagram. This is clavicle, sternoclavicular joint, manubrium sterni, sternal angle, body of sternum, first, second and third costal cartilages. And now these structures, see this is right brachiocephalic vein formed by union of right internal jugular and right subclavian veins, and this is left brachiocephalic vein formed by left internal jugular and left subclavian vein. Both these brachiocephalic veins, as I have already told you, they unite to form superior vena cava, and now this is superior vena cava. That means it begins at the lower border of sternal end of first right costal cartilage. Then next, it pierces pericardium at the level of opposite to the right second costal cartilage, and ultimately it terminates by opening into upper part of the right atrium behind third right costal cartilage. That means beginning at first costal cartilage, pierces pericardium at this level, second right costal cartilage, and terminates by opening into right atrium at the level of third right costal cartilage. Now see, it pierces at this level, so this part of superior vena cava is extrapericardial part, and this below this right second costal cartilage, this part is the intrapericardial part. Another diagram to explain you the course of superior vena cava. Again, first costal cartilage behind first right first costal cartilage, then first intercostal space, then at this level it pierces pericardium, then second intercostal space, and at the level of third right costal cartilage it terminates into the right atrium. Another diagram to understand the same. I hope you all have gone through it plus the written part. Now coming to the relations of superior vena cava. To understand it, here is another diagram of the thorax at the level of fifth thoracic vertebra, and in this diagram here lies superior vena cava, this is ascending aorta, This is right lung, anterior margin, this is left lung, and this is body of fifth thoracic vertebra, posterior aspect, and this is the anterior aspect, body of sternum. So anteriorly, superior vena cava, it is bounded by, it is related to chest wall, internal thoracic vessels, somewhere here lies internal thoracic vessels, anterior margin of right lung and pleura, and pericardium in its lower half. As I have already told you, superior vena cava, its half, lower half, that is enclosed in pericardium. Posteriorly, superior vena cava is related to trachea and right vagus nerve and root of right lung posterior to the lower part. Next is the medial relations and lateral relations. First, medially, superior vena cava, this is superior vena cava, medially it is related to ascending aorta and brachiocephalic artery. Brachiocephalic artery is one of the branch of the arch of aorta. So medially it is related to both these structures. Laterally it is related to phrenic nerve with accompanying vessels plus right lung and pleura. Another diagram to understand the relations of superior vena cava. Now this is your part to do it. I have already explained it to you. Next is the tributaries of superior vena cava. First and the most important is the azygous vein. I hope all of you remember azygous vein. This azygous vein, you can see in this picture, this azygous vein, it joins superior vena cava on the right side about its middle. Basically, this azygous vein arches over root of right lung and it opens into superior vena cava at the level of second costal cartilage just before the superior vena cava enters into the pericardium. Right? The next tributaries, small tributaries, they are small mediastinal and pericardial veins. They are many in number. Applied aspect of superior vena cava. Now see in both the diagrams, superior vena cava, obstruction is in relation to the azygous vein. Here obstruction is above the level of opening of azygous vein and here obstruction is below the level of opening of azygous vein. Now we'll do first this one. When the superior vena cava is obstructed above the opening of azygous vein, venous blood of upper half of the body, it is returned through the azygous vein. See like this, these arrows, they are showing the return of the venous blood via azygous vein. And in this case, superficial veins, they are dilated on the chest up to costal margin. Now, when the superior vena cava is obstructed below the level of azygous vein, the blood is returned through inferior vena cava via femoral vein. And the superficial veins, they are dilated on both the chest and abdomen up to saphenous opening in the thigh. Now the superficial vein connecting the lateral thoracic vein with the superficial epigastric vein is known as thoracoepigastric vein. In cases of mediastinal syndrome, the signs of superior vena cava obstruction are the first to appear. Another clinical aspect is superior vena cava syndrome. Now here is the superior vena cava. This superior vena cava, as I have already told you in the beginning, it is a major vein in a person's body. It carries blood from upper half of the body. So basically this syndrome occurs when superior vena cava is partially blocked or compressed. And this usually the cancer is the main cause of superior vena cava syndrome. Now starting with another topic of the day, that is aorta. Aorta is great arterial trunk And as we all know, the heart distributes blood to the entire body through an elaborate arterial tree. The main stem of this tree is aorta. Aorta is the largest artery in the body. So here this is aorta in this picture from the heart, and it through its various branches distributes the blood to the all parts of the body. It receives oxygenated blood from the left ventricle. See, here is left ventricle, and this yellow arrow shows the passage of the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to the aorta, and further it distributes to whole body. It distributes the oxygenated blood to all parts of the body. Aorta is further divided into three parts. First is ascending aorta, then arch of aorta, and descending aorta. See, this is thorax, this is abdomen part, here lies the heart, and this is aorta. Now this is ascending aorta, then next is arch of aorta or aortic arch, and this is descending aorta. Descending aorta, the part which lies in thorax, that is thoracic aorta, and the part which lies in abdomen, that is abdominal aorta. Another diagram for the parts of aorta. See, here is the diaphragm. Now this is ascending aorta, this is aortic arch or arch of aorta, and this is descending thoracic aorta, and this is descending abdominal aorta. Now we will be dealing with each of these parts one by one in detail. Ascending aorta, it arises from upper end of left ventricle and almost 5 cm long, enclosed in pericardium. Now coming to its course, it begins behind left half of sternum at the level of lower border of third costal cartilage. Somewhere here, third costal cartilage, it starts, origins from left ventricle. Then it runs upward, forwards and to the right, upward, forwards and to the right, and become continuous with arch of aorta. Now this is aortic arch, it become continuous with arch of aorta at sternal end of upper border of second right costal cartilage. And at root of aorta, there are three dilatations of vessel wall. They are known as aortic sinuses, that is anterior, left posterior and right posterior. And from these aortic sinuses only two very important arteries of the heart, they take its origin. So here is ascending aorta, this one, starting from left ventricle, going upwards, forwards and to the right, become continuous with aortic arch. And at the root of aorta, I have already told you three dilatations are over here, aortic sinuses. One is anterior, left posterior and last is the right posterior. And from anterior and left posterior, two important branches of the ascending aorta, they takes its origin, which constitute the main blood supply to the heart. From the anterior aortic sinus is the right coronary artery, and from the left posterior aortic sinus is the left coronary artery. Relations of ascending aorta. Now anteriorly it is related to sternum, left lung and pleura, infundibulum of right ventricle, root of pulmonary trunk and right auricle. Then posteriorly, ascending aorta is related to transverse sinus of pericardium, left atrium, right pulmonary artery and right principal bronchus. Then to the right it is related to, see this is ascending aorta, to the right it is related to superior vena cava and right atrium. And to the left it is related to pulmonary trunk above and left atrium below. Branches of ascending aorta, already told you, from the aortic sinuses. They are 3 in number, and from out of those 3, from 2 aortic sinuses arises. First is right coronary artery from the anterior aortic sinus, and from the left posterior aortic sinus arises left coronary artery. Second part of aorta is arch of aorta. It is a continuation of ascending aorta. Look over here. See, this is ascending aorta, continuation is the arch of aorta, and it is situated in superior mediastinum behind the lower half of manubrium sterni. Course of arch of aorta. It begins behind upper border of second right sternochondral joint. This is arch of aorta. Then it runs upward, backward and to the left across left side of bifurcation of trachea. Now see, this is trachea and this is its bifurcation along the left side of bifurcation of trachea. Then it passes downward behind the left bronchus and on left side of the body of T4 vertebra, and thus it arches over the root of left lung and further ends at the lower border of body of T4 vertebra and become continuous with the descending aorta. Thus the beginning and end of the aorta are at the same level. See here, beginning and end are at the same level, although it begins anteriorly and ends posteriorly. Another picture to explain you beginning, course and end of arch of aorta. See, in this side and on this side. Relations of arch of aorta. Anteriorly and to the left, it is related to, see over here, this is arch of aorta, this is anterior aspect manubrium and this is a posterior aspect, that is the body of T4 vertebra. This is basically transverse section of thorax at T4 level. Now anteriorly, this arch of aorta is related to 4 nerves before backwards. This is left phrenic nerve, then cardiac nerves. Basically this cardiac nerves, first this is the lower cervical cardiac branch of left sympathetic chain and lower cervical cardiac branch of left vagus nerve. Then this is left vagus nerve. Then is left superior intercostal vein. Then it anteriorly, another structure over here is the left lung and pleura, and last is the remains of thymus. Posteriorly and to the right, aortic arch is related to, see here is the aortic arch. Posteriorly and to the right, it is related to first of all trachea with deep cardiac plexus on it and tracheobronchial lymph nodes, then esophagus, next is left recurrent laryngeal nerve, here lies left recurrent laryngeal nerve, thoracic duct and last is vertebral column. Now superior and inferior relations of aortic arch. Inferiorly, aortic arch is related to left bronchus, bifurcation of pulmonary trunk, ligamentum arteriosum, then left recurrent laryngeal nerve and superior cardiac plexus. And superiorly, it is related to 3 branches of arch of aorta. You can see these 3 branches, right? Then all these 3 branches, I will tell you their names in the next slide. All these three branches, they crosses close to their origin by left brachiocephalic vein. This diagram shows the relations of arch of aorta. Now here you can see this ligamentum arteriosum, this one. This ligamentum arteriosum, it is a small ligament that is the remnant of ductus arteriosus formed within 3 weeks after birth, and at the superior end it is attached to the final part of the aortic arch, or we can say the first part of the descending aorta. There are three branches of arch of aorta. First is brachiocephalic trunk, further subdivided into right common carotid artery and right subclavian artery. Second is left common carotid artery, and third and last branch is left subclavian artery. So these are the three branches of arch of aorta. Occasionally they can be thyroidema, and vertebral artery. They may arise from arch of aorta. Now is the applied anatomy of arch of aorta. First one is aortic knuckle. Now this is a PA view of the chest. In PA view of radiograph of chest, arch of aorta is seen as projection beyond the left margin of mediastinal shadow, and this projection is known as aortic knuckle. It is a projection beyond the left margin of the mediastinal shadow in PA view of the chest, and this aortic knuckle, it becomes prominent in old age. Another clinical aspect is coarctation of aorta. In this, localized narrowing of aorta opposite to or just beyond the attachment of ductus arteriosus. See, this is narrowing of the aorta. Basically, this narrowing of the aorta usually occurs at the insertion of ligamentum arteriosum, that is embryological ductus arteriosus, and it can further cause left ventricular hypertrophy. Next is aortic aneurysm. It is localized dilatation of the aorta, and further it can press upon the surrounding structures like this. Dilatation of the aorta, and further it can press upon the surrounding structures and can cause mediastinal syndrome. Basically, dilatation of the segment of aorta more than 1.5 times the original diameter, that is known as aneurysm. This dilatation may be fusiform or may take the form of a sac attached to the main vessel. Last part of aorta is descending aorta, which is further divided into descending thoracic aorta and descending abdominal aorta. Abdominal aorta you people are going to do with abdomen part. Now descending thoracic aorta, it is a continuation of aortic arch. This is descending thoracic aorta, continuation of aortic arch, and it lies in posterior mediastinum. It begins on the left side of the lower border of the body of fourth thoracic vertebra. Then it descends with an inclination to the median plane or to the right, and it continues at the lower border of T12 as abdominal aorta. Now the relations of descending thoracic aorta. In this diagram, heart and lungs have been removed to make you people understand the course and relations of this descending thoracic aorta. This is trachea, behind that this is esophagus, right? Then this is diaphragm, this is stomach. Now starting with the relations, anteriorly this descending aorta is related to root of left lung, pericardium and heart, esophagus in the lower part. See, in the upper part it is on the right side, but in the lower part it is anteriorly related, and the diaphragm. Posteriorly, vertebral column and hemiazygous vein. To the right side, esophagus in the upper part, right? Then azygous vein, thoracic duct and right lung and pleura, this side. To the left side, left lung and pleura. These are the relations of descending thoracic aorta. Last is branches of descending thoracic aorta. First, 9 posterior intercostal arteries on each side. Posterior intercostal arteries, they are 9 in number. 4th, 3rd to 11th intercostal spaces. Then subcostal artery on each side. Next is 2 left bronchial branches. These are the 2 left bronchial arteries. Next is esophageal branches supplying the middle 1/3 of the esophagus. Then pericardial branches to the posterior surface of the pericardium. Next is the mediastinal branches to the lymph nodes and areolar tissue of the posterior mediastinum. And last is the superior phrenic arteries to the posterior part of the superior surface of the diaphragm. Branches of these arteries anastomose with those of the musculophrenic and pericardiophrenic arteries. So this is all about today's lecture, superior vena cava and aorta. I hope you people have understood. We have covered 2 important structures in the thorax. Kindly go through the PPT and video for the same and then go and study from your concerned textbooks. Thank you.